Welcome everyone to today's second opinion on the upcoming Dynamax Eevee Battle Weekend. Eevee, aptly categorized as the evolution Pokemon, represents a multitude of opportunities for the Dynamax enthusiast, with its various evolution branches each bringing something different to the table. How shall we decide which Eeveelution will be best for you? In today's video, we'll discuss the Eeveelutions, focusing on their strengths and weaknesses and how they might fit into the broader Dynamax metagame. Before we get started, if you enjoy this type of scientific-oriented Dynamax content, consider subscribing to my channel below. Let's begin with Eevee, as the analysis here will likely be short and sweet. While Eevee does possess an unreleased Gigantamax form, the normal Dynamax variety offers very little in the meantime. As an unevolved Pokemon, Eevee's stats are not strong enough to really be a contender in any category. It is outclassed by almost all fully evolved normal-type Pokemon in the Dynamax format in each of its stats. Not to mention that even with a powerful Gmax attack in Gmax Cuddle, without some mechanical changes to either its stats or the power level of the Gigantamax attack, Eevee will fail to break through the normal-type competition. What Dynamax Eevee offers, however, is its potential to evolve into one of 8 distinct evolutions, and this is what we'll spend the bulk of the video discussing. Vaporeon is Eevee's water-type evolution. Upon first glance, Vaporeon's stats characterize it as a bulky water-type, and with a 277 stamina stat, this pushes Vaporeon more heavily into the territory of healing. Unfortunately, there are many other water-type Pokemon available today that also fill this niche. Lapras, for instance, possesses the same stamina stat but is capable of using Gigantamax moves which will often outdamage Vaporeon's attacks. Furthermore, offensively, Vaporeon's attack stat isn't high enough to distinguish itself from that of Gigantamax nor Dynamax Inteleon. As such, Vaporeon feels more like a jack-of-all-trades type, but master of none. Vaporeon's only saving grace here is its access to the 0.5 second fast attack Water Gun, which allows it to charge the max meter rather quickly. I see players benefiting from Dynamax Vaporeon only if they don't have any other water Pokemon available. Otherwise, it's usually better to use specialist water types like Inteleon, Lapras, or Blastoise. Jolteon is Eevee's electric-type evolution. Jolteon's stats lean in a more offensive direction, though unfortunately it finds itself outclassed by many of the available electric-type Pokemon in the format. Notably, Dynamax Raikou strictly outclasses Jolteon with higher attack, defense, and stamina, all while possessing the same move coverage. Plus, with Gigantamax Toxtricity already in the format, neither Raikou nor Jolteon can reasonably stand a chance when it comes to pure offensive electric-type damage. I see Jolteon as an okay alternative if players don't have any electric-type attackers at their disposal, but keep in mind that any investment here may be better spent elsewhere. Flareon is Eevee's fire-type evolution. Flareon possesses a monstrous 246 attack stat, which would normally be impressive for dealing massive fire-type damage. Unfortunately though, we already have access to the fire-type legendary Pokemon Moltres that possesses the same moves on top of better stats in all categories. To add insult to injury, there are already 2 fire-type Gigantamax attackers released in Charizard and Cinderace, which dwarf Flareon's damage potential further. I see Flareon as an extremely niche pick for players without any fire-type options, which seems unlikely given the frequent re-emergence of Dynamax Darumaka. Most times you'll want to avoid this evolution. Espeon is Eevee's Psychic-type evolution. Espeon has an offensive slant to it, and a 261 attack stat is nothing to scoff at. The timing here is unfortunate, as Dynamax Alakazam possesses a slightly higher attack stat and access to the 0.5 second fast attack Psycho Cut, which means that Espeon is almost always the inferior choice. Espeon does possess slightly more defense than Alakazam, but keep in mind we're talking a few percentage points, which is unlikely to make a difference when comparing two Glass Cannon Psychic-type attackers. I see players reaching for Espeon out of purely stylistic preference, as it mostly keeps pace with Alakazam damage-wise. Just keep in mind that it will be a bit slower with its fast attacks. Umbreon is Eevee's Dark-type evolution. Typically, Umbreon might be considered a less than stellar Pokemon, with a 126 attack stat offering very little in aggressive formats like raids. As we've learned, however, bulky Pokemon can perform much better in the Dynamax format due to the need for survivability and endurance. This is where Umbreon can really shine. 240 defense is excellent, and a 216 stamina stat is good enough to provide natural bulk even without the shields afforded by Max Guard. Not to mention that Dark resistance is rare, making Umbreon one of the best choices for any upcoming Dark, Psychic, or Ghost boss Pokemon. I see Umbreon being a great choice to invest in for players looking to supplement their tanking options. Building a Max Guard Umbreon will likely prove useful in the battles to come. Leafeon is Eevee's Grass-type evolution. Leafeon's stats are interesting to say the least. It doesn't excel in any one stat more than the others, but has a balanced spread in attack and defense. As a result, Leafeon ends up with a defense stat that is actually higher than any other grass Pokemon available to date, even higher than that of Venusaur or Tsarina. This gives Leafeon an edge in the tanking department in certain matchups, and its 216 attack stat will also ensure that Leafeon isn't entirely passive while you're at it. Leafeon will struggle to charge the max meter efficiently, which does detract a little from its abilities as a tank. Nonetheless, I see Leafeon being an okay investment option in the right matchups, predominantly against strong water, grass, or ground-type Dynamax bosses. Glaceon is Eevee's Ice-type evolution. Glaceon takes an offensive angle to its stat distribution, commanding a powerful 238 attack stat. Glaceon does have an okay defense stat as well, but when comparing Glaceon's defense to that of Articuno, it doesn't quite measure up. Not a problem, however, as attack is all that Glaceon needs, as it is actually the strongest Ice-type attacker to date. Glaceon may be able to hold this title for a long while, too, given its only real competition is Mamoswine. This is because Glaceon is one of the strongest Ice-type attackers that has access to 1-second fast attacks. Many of the most powerful Ice-type Pokemon in the game only have access to the extremely slow 1.5 second fast attack Ice Fang. I see many players getting benefit from investing into Glaceon, as Ice is one of the best offensive types. Eevee candy is much more plentiful when compared to Articuno candy or Lapras candy as well, making Glaceon a great value investment. Sylveon is Eevee's Fairy-type evolution. Sylveon is perhaps the most balanced when it comes to its stat distribution, but this may be more of a drawback than a benefit. Because it doesn't have any standout stats, it's outclassed by other fairy attackers like Hatterene and Gardevoir. But, because of its high defense and stamina, this makes Sylveon a bit bulkier than the other fairy-type Pokemon out there, with the exception of Zacian Crowned. Fairy typing has a solid defensive profile, with some good resistances to Bug, Dark, Fighting, and Dragon. Thus, I see Sylveon being a decent option for players looking for a bulkier fairy Pokemon that won't break the bank. On screen is the result of my analysis. I highly recommend players consider investing in Umbreon and Glaceon, as both possess unique roles for the battles to come. At the bottom of my list are Vaporeon, Espeon, Jolteon, and Flareon, largely for the reasons that these Pokemon do not stand out, and are all outclassed by better Pokemon in the format. Please note, though, that these rankings reflect my personal opinions on the Eeveelution's usefulness, but that ultimately you, the player, need to decide what is best for your team. What do you think? Are there any Eeveelutions that you'll be looking to try out for your Dynamax team? Drop a comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe while you're at it. Till next time.